Hi, I'm Rob Schmidt, and you are in the Strategy Room. President-elect Donald Trump announced today that he has chosen his former campaign rival, Ben Carson, to become Secretary of HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development. This comes after Carson repeatedly downplayed his involvement in the Trump campaign, saying that he wasn't sure where, if anywhere, he would fit in Trump's future administration. Joining me now, Iona College professor and strategist at Applied Economics, Jeannie Zaino, and Vice President for the Manhattan Republican Party, Brian Morgenstern. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Brian, we're going to start off with you. What do you think of this pick?
Unconventional, which is par for the course when it comes to the Trump campaign/administration, right? I mean, having a retired neurosurgeon run housing and urban development probably wouldn't be, you know, like I said, it's unconventional. But this administration is obviously going to be walking the line between having experienced people and outsiders who think about things differently. And there is nothing more different than the way Ben Carson thinks about HUD versus the Obama administration, because the Obama administration has been, you know, trying to bolster it up and make rules to make it easier to get public assistance in all these things. And Dr. Carson speaks regularly about ending the culture of dependency. So quite literally the opposite sort of governing philosophy of the administration. So to the extent that Trump wants to change course, this is how to do it.
Yeah, not HHS for Ben Carson, which is what I think everybody expected. You know, Jeannie, let's go back to a quote from Dr. Carson on Neil Cavuto. I'm sorry. Our inner cities are in terrible shape. They have definitely need some real attention. There have been so many promises made over the last several decades. Nothing has been done. So it certainly is something that has been a long time interest of mine. Sounds like he's passionate in that quote. What do you think?
He may be passionate, but it's not only an unconventional pick, as Brian said, it's also a pick of somebody who's completely unqualified for the job. He himself had said he has absolutely no qualifications to be the head of housing and urban development. Not only doesn't he know anything about public policy in this arena, he's never run a big organization with this much money. He is a neurosurgeon by training, and that is what he is good at. He's also good at marketing himself. He's good at writing books. Running a huge organization that's that important to the fabric of our communities in the United States, this is something this person is not qualified to do by his own admission. And what's curious to me is that Donald Trump ran saying the one thing he could do really well, he may not know a lot about being president, he's not a politician, he may not know a lot about public policy, but he knows how to hire. And I think this is another example of how Donald Trump doesn't know how to hire. You take somebody who's completely, by their own admission, unqualified for a job, you plug them in, and you act as if that is going to lead to substantial change, is the height of ridiculousness. And I think the Senate should use their power to question this. And this is not about Ben Carson. He may be a fine surgeon and a fine person. This is about running a huge organization in our government, which he is completely unqualified to do.
But Mr. Trump also said, you know, in a lot of those campaign speeches, what have you got to lose if you live in these inner cities, that nothing has been done in the last 30 or 40 years. So maybe he's just trying to try something that's completely unexpected. Shake it up.
Well, I think the people living in those communities would beg to differ when they hear that, you know, they have nothing to lose. They have an awful lot to lose. They have had difficulties, sure, but they have families, they have schools, they have communities. Those deserve real attention from real serious folks who know what they're doing in this arena. And this is a job for somebody serious. Jack Kemp, for instance, was a serious contender and did a great job in this position. Now, maybe Ben Carson will surprise all of us, but by his own admission, he is not somebody who's spent his life preparing for this, nor does he seem like he has the qualifications to do it or the knowledge.
Okay.
Well, Carson, he did spend a lot of of his campaign time in these communities trying to reach out to people who were not typical Republican voters, and has said that no job in government is more complex than neurosurgery or separating conjoined twins. And so I think the argument is he's an accomplished...
He can handle that. He can handle...
Right. He's an accomplished guy who obviously had a storied career and made huge differences in his communities, particularly in Baltimore when he was at Johns Hopkins.
And maybe he lends a new perspective to it or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. And let me ask you one more thing. The 13th nominated cabinet pick in just under 4 weeks. In the beginning of this, you know, I remember everybody talking about how it was just in disarray. How's it looking so far as he tries to put this administration together?
At the top levels in terms of cabinet picks, he's moving faster than any president-elect since 1968, I think. So he's ahead of schedule, certainly with those top picks. How the pace is able to maintain in terms of the deputy picks and the other political appointee staff members and things like that remains to be seen. But in terms of forming a cabinet, he's way ahead of Obama, Clinton, Bush, everybody in the recent
Surprised
era.
a lot of people. Yeah. All right. Okay. Jeannie, your final thoughts?
I think pace-wise, he's right on track, if not ahead, as Brian said. I think substantively, we've now got a head of HUD, a head of education, and an attorney general who don't support public education, who have no real understanding of housing, and who don't support the Voting Rights Act. I think that's a real problem. So sure, he's going fast. Is he getting substantive people who are going to support these positions and do a good job? I don't think we know that yet.
That's the concern. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you both very much. For complete political coverage, keep it right here at foxnews.com. I'm Rob Schmidt. Thanks for watching.